All of the following are criticisms of the traditional budgeting process. Criticisms means negative things, disadvantages of a traditional budgeting process, except that it. Let's read the first answer. Makes across the board cuts when early budget iterations shows that planned expenses are not too high. This is not a criticism because the traditional budget process may lead to across the board cuts when early budget iterations shows that planned expenses are too high. However, budgeting should not necessarily require across the board cuts. It means we will not cut expenses even if the expenses increased than the budgeted amounts. Cost cutting should be based on what is best for the organization. Frequently, cuts based on what is best for the organization will not be equally distributed. So the first one is not a criticism to the traditional budget. The second answer incorporates non-financial measures as well as financial measures into its output. This is not a criticism even for the traditional or non-traditional budget, as a budget is a quantitative numbers, a quantitative plan, and does not include non-financial measures. Traditional or non-traditional does not include non-financial measures. So answer B is the correct one. It is not a criticism to the traditional budget. C is not used until the end of the budget period to evaluate performance. This is not correct too, because we can break the budget into smaller time frames, which means quarters, 3 months, or just 1 month. A 12 months budget can and often will be divided into monthly amounts to allow for current months and year-to-date budget variance, which means we can divide the budget into smaller time frames. So answer C is not the correct answer. Answer D. Overemphasize a fixed time horizon such as 1 year. This is also not the correct answer because, as we have mentioned, that we can divide the budget into smaller time frames so we can study the variances of the actual amounts compared to the budgeted amounts into smaller time frames. So answer B is the correct one.